All right, all right. Welcome on in. The cats are in paradise. I've got the final word on the quarterback controversy, and we're going to talk that attendance. I'm going to deliver the final word on that as well. This is the Bearkat Bites podcast. This is an offshoot of the Bearkat Bites newsletter. All the links are in the description. If you all are here every week and you all like this, and you know other people that need to know about Sam Houston football year round, tell somebody. It's the biggest thing right now. We're going to get into that later with attendance and all of that stuff. Of course, also remember the Big Sam t-shirts are here as well. If you want to get one of these, you can be a subscriber. You know what I got for you all? The next person that becomes a subscriber, a paid subscriber, at least 6 months, I'm going to throw these in here as well. I've been getting a few things, collecting a few things from around. So somebody's going to get that. You become a 6-month subscriber. I'm just going to throw that at you. And I'll throw in one of these shirts too. We give you stuff. All right. So Sam Houston is in Hawaii right now. Is it going to be like Fantasy Island or Lord of the Flies? Well, hopefully it's more like the former Fantasy Island. Hopefully it's more like that, right? Okay. Now, what helps out Sam Houston? Who's going to be the quarterback for Hawaii? Their quarterback, Michael Alejado, he has not started the season healthy. He got injured against Stanford, split some time with the backup against Arizona when they traveled to the lower 48 in the desert. And so he's walking around in a boot this week, and we still don't know. Of course, old Timmy Chang's not going to tell us. Of course, he's going to try to keep that secret. So that bodes well for what Sam Houston is going to do. That bodes well right now, all right? So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't know why I'm reminded about the old Brady Bunch, episodes, that 3-part episode with the Brady Bunch. Remember when Bobby or Peter, one of them, found that little tiki, and it's craziness ensued. But I don't know. I was very happy to see that the players got some time to spend on the beach, do something. You know what I mean? I was very happy that the players got to do something on the beach because I know that they were flying like commercial and all these things, and it's like, okay, hopefully they get to do something. You're 19, 18, 19, 20, man. Yeah, you want to see what's up on the island, right? So I'm glad to see some of them do that. I'm glad to see that some of them are I'm glad to see that the team and hopefully the staff and all those guys, Ben, Cody, the SIDs. I hope they got to enjoy some stuff, because there's a big game Saturday, right? Big game Saturday. Go ahead and sound off in the comments as well. We are going to read them as we go along here, all right? So I'm just going to throw this out at you. Start Mabry Matoyer. Go ahead, do it. I'm just putting it out there. Why? Because Matoyer is the future, right? Okay? Here's the thing. Just like Huntsville, you drive around there's major parts of I-45 under construction. Sam Houston football, the same thing. You can see it on campus when they're building Bowers. You got to go into Bowers with a nice, experienced set of quarterbacks. Go back and listen to what Phil Longo says in these post games and during the week. He even throws in Landon Locke's name. Well, even the third quarterback, we want to see Landon Locke kind of get prepared as if he's a starter. Okay, these guys are the future again, and I always have to remind some of you of this. This is not the Attack Hunter Watson show. That is not what this is. But again, you have to look at just go ahead and start in the future. The problem is none of them have truly separated. Some of you all brought that up. Some of you all said that, and that is fair. Okay, but I think that it just needs to go ahead and start. Let him shake out all that stuff, shake out that horrible pick six from beyond the line of scrimmage that he had against UNLV, okay? Shake that stuff off, and hopefully, you got him rocking and rolling, okay? He's more familiar with Longo's system. Matoyer's main problem is when defenses shift and change, it kind of scrambles his brain a little bit, right? So, and then some of you all will say, I'm sure, well, the locker room likes Watson, and they agree. Here's the reality, and Sam Houston experienced it last year. There's going to be a new locker room every year, okay? Anyone who, if you were to say, well, such and such doesn't like this, well, they're a player of consequence, they're probably going to be gone. Go look at Texas State. I'm sorry. Go look at North Texas's roster. If you don't believe that, they got everybody, plus the defensive coordinator from last year, Skylar Cassidy, okay? So, I mean, that's a very low-risk thing now in the new world of college football. Okay. And I think also further, if we were to follow me, if we were to fill Longo up with truth serum, I think he would say, yeah, I would like Montoya to kind of separate and capture this. When I talk about hopefully someone separates, I'm meaning that someone is Montoya. That is my guess when I look at the information and I analyze the quotes and the text and things that are going on. Okay. Because, he's more of his type of quarterback. Hunter is more of a runner, more of a bruiser. Look at how Drake May plays. He's not a runner and a bruiser. That's Phil Longo's favorite guy. He talks about him a lot. When you get him alone and talking things like that, that's the type of quarterback he wants. Montoya is closer to that. Okay. And the one thing that I always have to push back, I've had the comments, well, a 2-quarterback system, he just wants to do it like that. I don't think there's ever been a 2-quarterback system that's worked where both guys are throwing the ball. Now, Oklahoma had 2 guys, but that was Blake Bell, the Belldozer. There's always, UNLV has 2 guys. Yeah, they bring in or Alex Origi when they want to run it. 2 guys doing very different things. So maybe that's a role that Hunter Watson could play in this. I don't think that's a bad idea. Just have a package for him. But you got to go and get Montoya just going. So we'll see what happens with it. We'll see what happens with that, right? Other odds and ends that Longo talked about, other odds and ends, and we've got some Sam Houston attendance stuff. We're gonna come up to that. Don't you worry. I wanted to hit on this quickly. He talked about in his weekly presser with the media this week. Longo talked about how the wide receivers need to play a little bit better. Challenge them a little bit, and with specifically some pre-snap stuff. He talked about how they need to get open a little bit more. Me personally, I don't quite see it. Now, he's seen the all 24. He may see something different, but just me being on the field for what I'm saying, I don't know that that's an issue. Now, I did talk about their hands, which I agree with. I definitely agree with that. There are too many drops. Now, they cut them down from the Western Kentucky game, but there's still a lot of drops, okay? So, yeah, that's definitely an issue. So they're going to have to do well. They're going to have to do well right there and sustain these drives because that's going to put less pressure on this next point that Longo talked about, the defensive line and the pass rush. Okay. Quarterbacks, they got all day. And Longo talked about it, you got to, quote, get them off their stage, because they got them back there in the shotguns, Aquila Lawton, Quadro Pratt. These guys, they're doing their best that they can to get there, but it's just not really working. And again, this kind of screams of a talent issue, and this also or could scream of a talent issue. Right now, Hawaii is much more of a level down to where Sam Houston is. You know what I mean? Just clinically speaking about it. So let's see how they can get after him, because for all of you all who want to talk about the defensive backs, and there's things there. Did you know that Tyler Bailey, who came over from the offense last year, played pretty well? He graded at like a 90, somewhere in the 90s. I don't quite have the number. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. It's not right in front of me. I don't have the number, but he talked about that. Old Tyler Bailey, not Longo talked about that. He reposted it. One of the coaches reposted it. I saw. By the way, our Twitter's down there as well. Everything's at Bearkat Bites. We're going to get to your comments here momentarily. Longo talked about that, how one of the coaches did, how Tyler Bailey graded pretty well. So maybe, if this pass rush happens, we'll see. So those are the game things to look for. And of course, everyone that's in the islands, if you're watching us, I know it's like 3:30 in the afternoon over there. Shout out to you guys. Weren't able to go. We're not able to make it. Again, if you all want in-depth coverage, if you all wanted to continue, if you want us to go on these trips, go ahead and become a paid subscriber. That's what gets us out there. We are able to go to one. I will tell you all sometime this month which one that is. Make sure you're subscribed. We have one game that we're going to. I don't want to announce it quite yet. Let's kind of get into Conference CUSA play first, and then we'll discuss. Okay. Let's go ahead. General saying we ain't that old, Unc. Oh man, the Brady Bunch was Well, I mean, it wasn't out when I was a kid. It wasn't new when I was a kid. They used to show it on Nick at Night. They used to show the Brady Bunch on Nick at Night. Oh, man. Okay. We got some people agreeing with me. 92. Yeah, Tyler Bay graded 92. But I thought that was in Jack State. Hang on. Let's bring this up. But I thought that was in Jack State. I didn't see it that high for UNLV. I don't know. What was that against Jack State? What was that grade? What was that grade? Was that against Western Kentucky? Because if it was against Western Kentucky, then that's a nice grade. That those are some of the better receivers they're going to see all year. Sam Houston, all the really good receivers that they're going to see, when October rolls around, they've already seen them. So I can see why the focus is on the pass rush, right? All right, everybody. All right. So if you're watching this on the playback, here's the part where, and we'll talk about some of the betting lines and point spreads, but I wanted to go ahead and get to this. You all want to talk about the Sam Houston attendance issues. There's been a rousing debate, a rousing discussion about the Sam Houston attendance issues. Let's see. Let's grab one more comment. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Tyler Bailey graded at 92 against WKU. Oh, by the way, James Dawn did make the trip. A few other odds and ends before we talk about the Sam Houston attendance issues. James Dawn, the center, hopefully starting center, did make the, if you're a Bearkat fan, did make the trip. So that's encouraging. No major attendance, no major injury issues, Longo said. So we'll see. I don't know if it's quite a throw the everything at the kitchen sink at it game, but you know what? You digging in that junk drawer and throwing a few things. That's how I think this has to go, right? So we'll talk about picking them and all of that here in a little bit. We want to talk about the attendance. So some of you all fast forwarded to this part, all right? So let me say something about Sam Houston beyond the obvious. One, I would say that there is good quality over quantity. The few people who go to those games are very loud, boisterous, engaged most of the game. So that's a good thing. If you could times that by 10, or you're really cooking with grease, right? The game was on a Friday. The game was in the middle of town against the Astros. All of those things are working against you. But the thing is, when you decided to play on and do this for TV, that's kind of how it worked. I remember reading some story or some thesis or something about how one-day football would just be played in front of empty stadiums because it was all just for TV. And a lot of that has come to college football. And I want to say this too. I want to put this out here. Some of you all, whenever there's a comment, and this isn't all of you, the classy people that are here, but I've seen this behavior, and you should police it. Anytime somebody says something about Sam Houston or something about any school, I'm an Aggie. Okay, I'm a graduate of A&M, and so I experienced it there too. I didn't experience it, but I've seen it happen there too. Someone will make a comment or a statement about the team, something critical, something that could improve. And people will sound off. Wait, well, did you go to the school? Did you go to the game? Hey, did you give up your left kneecap? Did you bite the kneecap? All of these different qualifiers, okay? Let me ask you all a question. What is the name of the school that the football team, that the football program represents? Sam Houston State University, right? Those are state schools. Okay? So that means that anybody that comes through Texas, that's spending money, that's paying taxes, that goes to those schools. So everyone, just by definition, by hook or by crook, has a vested interest. So that means that anyone is entitled to a constitutionally approved opinion. Now, don't get out there acting a fool. Don't do any of that. But people do have a right to an opinion. Okay? People do have a right to an opinion. So I will say that. And I've said this to Aggies, to other Aggies of mine. Hey, you know what? You look dumb when you say that. When you try to put all these qualifiers, Texas, the real popular one, they don't have too many qualifiers. You can put on a Longhorn shirt. Hey, as far as that person next to you is concerned, you've been there 27 years watching the team. That's the energy you need. That's how the thing grows. That's how you get engaged fans. You can't gatekeep. You can't qualify. Let me tell you something. I work in books. I work in books as well. In the springtime, when the season is over, I sell my books. I write graphic novels. I do these workshops for kids. There's a lot of gatekeeping culture in that. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of folks sitting around there have not grown. Like the books are not growing in fans because there's a lot of gatekeeping. You don't want that for your football program. You want as many people engaged as possible. Okay. So let me tell you how my night went, how my weekend, my busy opening college football weekend went. And we'll get to your comments here. Let me give you some of these thoughts. Let me tell you how it went. I went to Sam Houston Friday, kickoff about 8:37-ish, 8:40-ish. Literally 24 hours later, Prairie View, Texas Southern, same stadium, Shell Energy, kickoff, 24 hours later. The largest, and you can go and look it up, the largest attendance for the Labor Day Classic on that Saturday in 12 years. I think the stadium Shell Energy seats about between 20 and 22,000. They got about a hair over 19,600. Let me tell you something. There was probably about a tenth of that Friday as Sam Houston played UNLV. Now, some of you all have seen the number 5,000 people going around. Let me tell you something. That's doing a lot of work. I have it on a good authority that number is doing a lot of work. Okay. Again, the people that were there were rabid. They were great. There need to be more. There need to be more. So how is it? And even when this game, so you all will say, well, it was in Houston. It was this, it was that. So when Prairie View goes out there, I asked some of my friends, shout out to @RealPanther, Section 107 Panthers. Shout out to these people at Prairie View. They helped me do a great job with this research. It almost sells out there too. About 15,000 people at the new Panther Stadium can fit. It does about a hair under 14,000. So it's a bunch of folk going to these games. So what can be learned? What can be learned? This is a solution-based program. This is not an attacking program, but you can't find a solution if you don't identify the problem. Okay? So I'm going to tell you what Sam Houston needs to do. And you all feel free to go in the comments. We're gonna talk about all of them. I'm just gonna run through mine. One, add lots of rivals to your schedule. Lots of them. Yes, Stephen F. Austin. Yes, all of them. Well, Stephen F. Well, what would we gain losing to an FCS? I don't want to hear that. I've told you all, do the family test. I've done the family test. That means if you got family or friends, or you know somebody, or you went to Sam Houston State, tell them the game, give them the opponent, and ask them would they go. That's how you do it. So my sister is an alum. That's how I came to love Sam Houston. They took care of her. Were just fantastic people. Like that. That's what led me to choose this school to cover. She has so many fond memories. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a sports writer. I'm a professional sports writer here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do this. This is independent Sam Houston coverage year round, but add lots of rivals. Stephen F. Austin, Texas State, you know, all these teams that are also having attendance problems. You know, all these teams that also have, we don't want to play each other because reasons. You know, now Texas State and Sam Houston are part of the same system. I don't understand why the system for just attendance purposes won't force their hand and make them do it. You have to do it. Well, it can't be done next year. Fine, schedule it. Put it on 2035. And you know what you do until then? You engage all the time. You engage all the time with fans leading up to it every day for years. So by the time they're ready, they're charged up. That's what you got to do. You got to have constant engagement. Going back to Prairie View, by the way, they sold it out and they sell out there. From the moment their new coach, that guy Tremaine Jackson, was hired, he's been engaging with fans. He went viral with those very strict, very appropriate rules. Remember the rules he had? Hey, quote, do not approach me as bruh or bro. You will approach me and my coaches as sir or coach. I'm like, man, so somebody really pissed him off. It's for him to write that. But it went viral with the great Andy Staples and, you know, Andy and Ari, which I love, by the way. You know, they talked about, they had it, and, you know, a repost. And this was engaging. This went on all year from the time this guy was hired. So that by the time the Labor Day Classic, oh, that boil, that was rising, that pressure, and it just, boom, fans literally waiting outside of the game to get in. That's what it's going to take. Is Sam Houston engaging with fans on a routine basis? You could get some kid that's working on a thesis, some grad thesis. If how social media can impact a program with limited resources, you could do that. You could get some kid you could pay for their thesis. You know what? We'll just take care of that. You post things and get people engaged so that by the time Neubauer Stadium opens, boom, that has to happen. And then finally, and then second to last one here, load up on a drivable schedule. Okay. True stories. My step granny, God rest her soul, her son, my uncle, step uncle, whatever, played for Sam Houston, and she would always tell me about how they would drive to Nichols and they would drive to Lamar, they would drive to all these places in the Southland. How many games are just drivable and safe like that? Because let me tell you something, Prairie View's got 10 drivable games. 10. That's an amazing feat. You got to push for that. And I know because of TV, because of Conference USA. By the way, they're still struggling even with that Conference USA money. These are still the same problems. They're just more glaring because now you're on the FBS stage. You know what I mean? Now you're on the big, great FBS stage. And now the problems are just more glaring. There's no truck. There's no equipment truck that's branded. I saw Delaware's, and it says on there, proud member of Conference USA. Like, wow, they're ready to flaunt it. Crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff. Get the drivable schedule as best you can. Now, this is the point where, well, because of this, because of that. So that's why I'll add that qualifier as best you can. And then finally, for anyone who would say, oh, you're just attacking Sam, you're just doing this. Oh, I knew it. I knew that dang lane was always, no. Here's the thing. Understand this. You're not alone. I just talked about, SFA and all of them. I know Western Kentucky, there was a few gripes about the crowd versus Sam Houston. I think there were a couple more gripes with this one against North Alabama. There were a few gripes there as well. This is not, I go in the description. I posted a really good article about UCLA's struggling attendance. And there was a stat in there. I think they said out of the 131 FBS programs that there are for college football, 67 of them had sagging attendance year over year. That's over half. So you're not alone in this issue. Understand that. So look to those teams that are struggling. Some of them are coming up with ideas. Some of them are doing things. Look to them. Understand, you're not alone. That's why they, when I go to church and things, it's, they always talk about how, being around other believers and things helps. It helps when you're around people who, we got bad attendance, but we're working on it. And here's what we're doing. Piece together ideas. There's lots of good stuff that you can do there. There's an answer. There's always an answer. All right, here we go. Here's the hate. Here we go. Let's see what we got. Didn't attend, couldn't. Yeah, it was a Friday. Yeah, we talked about that one. Yeah. I hate the people. Yeah. T-shirt fans. Let's see. We got some good comments here. Sound off in the comments. Now's your time to talk and say it. I hate people that say, T-shirt fans is stupid. You need whoever. James Dawn running with the first team. Okay. We got a little bit of breaking news here. This is why you got to listen to the podcast. This is why you got to tune in. Make sure you like and share. Follow us and share. Put the bell icon on so you won't miss us. James Dawn was running first team practice today. Very nice. Very nice. Ours was growing year by year. Oh yeah, the attendance. Yeah. Well, it was growing year by year, but who was there? Who was there when the attendance was growing? Stephen F. Austin. Why isn't there a world where Sam Houston's non-conference is Stephen F. Austin, Texas State, and Texas, or Texas A&M, or UH. Why isn't there a world where that isn't Sam Houston's schedule repeatedly? So that fans can drive, so that oh, hang on, wrong lower third there. Let's see what we got here. Oh, talking about last 3 years. Yeah, it was growing. It was growing, but now you killed it off because now you're playing this thing in Houston. And the problem is there is no effort to say, hey, we're coming back. Imagine a world where Sam Houston says, all right, hey, we're coming back and we're going to play Stephen F. Austin and Texas State. Bang, 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 bang. And then you go over there and play those guys. Everyone wins. Everyone gets great attendance. All of this stuff. That's what needs to happen. Because Sam Houston, I mean, obviously, you know, it pays more to be in this current state of affairs. So that's how you mix in and marry the two. Your non-conference has to be hyper local. Go look at Coastal Carolina's schedule. Let me see if I got it here for you. And make sure you guys sound off in the comments if you'd like. Here, let me go ahead and stick this at the top so I won't mess that up. Let me go ahead and where is Coastal Carolina's schedule here? Now they are in Conway, South Carolina, kind of right there in the state. Let me give you theirs. At Virginia, drivable. I've lived in North Carolina, so let me tell you the drivable games. I've covered East Carolina out there, so I always kind of follow the Pirates a little bit. Shout out to Pirate Radio and Stephen Igo there. At Virginia, drivable. Charleston Southern, home, drivable. East Carolina, at home, drivable. At South Alabama, that was a little bit lengthy, but it is fairly drivable. Old Dominion, at Old Dominion, drivable. Home for ULM, drivable. At Appalachian State, drivable into the beautiful mountains. Home for Marshall, home for Georgia State, both drivable. At Georgia Southern, a little PC. At South Carolina, drivable. James Madison, drivable. Look how many drivable games I just ran off for South Carolina. For Coastal Carolina. For the Chanticleers. Okay. I mean, their lowest attendance was at Georgia State. Their lowest attendance was at Georgia State. Their largest attendance was at Troy. Their largest home attendance was Georgia Southern. Coastal Carolina and Georgia Southern, one of the rivals. So Sam Houston needs to sprinkle that element back into their schedule. Right now, they don't have it. Right now, it's not there. Okay? And that's a big problem. Last year was actually really good. You're in Houston twice. And you got to let people know. You know, last year was good. This year, you're in Houston a lot. But who knows how many people know? And that is the issue. Right? So what do you all think about that? Sound off in the comments. What do you all think? All right, the Sam Houston point spread. We'll talk some of the lines. Some of the lines, right? A little bit of Friday night lines from how Josh Pate does it. We'll talk about some of the spreads and things here for you people of special investment interest. The point spread, Sam Houston. They are a 6.5 underdog at Hawaii. This is the smallest spread that they've had. This one started off 8.5. And it has shrunk. I think Sam Houston covers. Again, excuse me. I think Sam Houston wins this game. So for you to win the bet, if Sam Houston, if they lose, they cannot lose by more than 6. So I'll take Sam Houston to cover. I think they'll do just enough to cover somehow. Maybe they hold Hawaii to a field goal that kind of skews the 7 a little bit, you know, something like that. The money line, Sam Houston plus 220. This line was a lot better as well. You could have gotten Sam Houston plus 300, 320, I think, during the offseason. That would have been a little bit better value. Well, UNLV. There we go. Hang on. Let me throw Hawaii on there. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, I would definitely take Sam Houston to cover. Go back in my offseason guide, and you can see it there. You can see it there in my newsletter. You can check it out. I talked about how I kind of see this as a win. Sam Houston, again, this is a level a little bit more down, closer to them. They've had some lessons. They've gotten some things on film. This is going to be the third game already for both teams. So in about 3:30 a.m. this Sunday, 25% of the season is gone. It's that easy. It's that easy. You know, wifey was surprised. She's always kind of like, oh, another college season. But then I tell her, you know, Sam Houston, they're going to be done the day after Thanksgiving. She's like, oh, that's kind of quick. Like, yeah, it's that quick. Welcome to college football. It's the perfect sport to cover and talk about because there's just these bits and pieces here and there. We sop them up like syrup on bread. But I'll take the plus 220 for Sam Houston. So you bet $100 Sam Houston wins, you get $220. So, and then the over under, the total points 49. I'm gonna go under. Both of these teams have major quarterback questions for various reasons, right? There's 4 guys that are going to walk into that stadium in Hawaii. Which one of them is going to come out with a good headline? You know, you got 2 for Sam Houston, 2 for Hawaii. Which one is going to come out? And I think when you have that type of confusion and mismatch and mix up at the quarterback spot, take the under. So I will go under 49 points. Give me something like 24-21. Or something like 27-24, maybe. Let's kind of pencil in for something like that. Let's kind of pencil in for something like that. How about that? Let's see what kind of comments we got here. What were the vibes in Shell and how they attempted to put on? Well, they had a DJ. If you all saw me on my Twitter at Bearkat Bites, we have a question here about just kind of the vibe and energy of Shell. They had a DJ. You know, the thing about it is, you know, the experience to talk about that, we have to talk about it in terms of the stadium that they're given. Now, one gripe and one knock on a lot of the stadiums, especially the Texans where they play at NRG, there is just a generic, just drab vibe. You know, the Toyota Center where the Rockets play, they talk about how it's a library a lot of the time. The energy is just never really there. The energy is just never really there a lot of the time. You know what I mean? There's just not a ton of it. So if I was going to give you that opinion, I need to give you the opinion about this independent of Sam Houston. Now, the vibe, whether it's good or bad, up or down, it's not really Sam Houston's fault. This is just the stadium that they're given. Now, you can say it's their fault for picking this stadium. I don't know. That's another discussion. But this is where they are right now. Okay. I know Phil Longo said that it didn't quite feel like a home game. They're just prepared to play 12 away games. It did not feel like it's home. And I'm going to write a column. I'm going to write a column in the newsletter during the bye week next week about some of the struggles that they're having. I'm going to write a column about that. I'm going to kind of start that sometime, maybe tomorrow. We're going to see. We're going to see. I need like a rolling desk while I'm typing and watching college football, right? So the vibes are, you know, the people that are there, they're rabid. Like I said, you know, earlier, quality over quantity. You know, once again, you know, Sam Houston does that pretty well. You know, again, the problem is there's just not a ton of people. Not enough people know. It's downtown. No one really likes going into town in Houston. A lot of restaurants are closing because of that here in town. You know, we're based out of here in Houston. A lot of restaurants in town are closing because of that, because it's just tough for people to get in. You know, because it's so tough to get in and park and do all that, find somewhere safe that's not going to break the bank. That's tough. And a lot of people have just said, you know what, I'm going to skip it, you know, with the restaurants. Now, I wonder, is that a lot of the same thing with Sam Houston? You got a lot of folk from East Texas, man. They're not really trying to deal with a city like that. They're not really trying to mess with the city like that. I think that's some of it too. There's a lot of fans that I saw last year that I looked in the crowd. I didn't see them this year. I didn't see them. Now, maybe they'll be there. I don't know that they'll be there any other Wednesday games. You know, Sam Houston only has 2 Saturday games because we had the Friday one, and then they come back October 9th. That's Jacksonville State. And then the one after that is UTEP. And then that's it. You know, you only got 2 games left, and those are your 2 Saturday games. So that's a problem. But, you know, the vibes are about as good as they can be. You know, there's always going to be the players' families and stuff like that. That's always going to be there. there's going to be again, it's going to be a lot of quality over quantity. I will be there for all the home games except Delaware. I'll be there all the days except Delaware. One of my book events ran into that day. I have to do a workshop. I have to conduct all of this stuff. I'm just playing. It's not a workshop. But I am selling books. I will try to carve out telling people how to do them at my booth. So, yeah. But you all are interested in that. You want to know about this Sam Houston, all of these different things. That's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. Make sure you all go on and hit the links in the description. Again, if one of you all, 6 months right now, get 6 months right now. I'll give you your choice. If you go for a year, the next person that does a year right now, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you both of these. The next person that goes for a year right now, I'm changing it up. I don't care. Let us know. Go ahead and hit the links in the description and share. All right. This is Bearkat Bites. We're going to see you all. Let's enjoy the game. Stay up late. By the way, we are going to be on after the game for the post game. You sickos who stay up at 3 a.m. The Insomniac Special will be on its way. Can't wait to do that with you all. All college football is good college football. Be blessed. Be safe. Enjoy the games, everybody.